Well, we got a bit of a rear diff issue. That is water. Oh my goodness. All right. Had a big flood. Trucks were here. The 09 is fine on the rear diff. No water in it. The 03 is not.
Hey, good morning, y'all. It was a rough night for me last night, as you might have been able to tell from that first clip. This lawnmower's hydro-locked. And these trucks got flooded big. I don't think I took any video last night. I wasn't thinking about that. This is hydro-locked too. But they flooded all the way up to right about here. Basically up to the doors. Pretty much probably came up roughly to this gasket, door gasket here. So as you can see, this truck has water just completely filled in the diff. Why? It is the only differential out of all four that has gasket maker as the gasket. The others have a proper OEM style gasket. So this one ended up being not a perfect seal, ended up taking on water. So I would recommend those OEM gaskets if you drive in water or might have a flood. This truck is fine, front and rear is fine. This truck's fine on the front. So going to hose these trucks off, get the salt off them. This is salt water, which is not good on Dodges. But all in all, the trucks don't look like they're rusted away this morning. But I'm gonna give it a good hose down, everything up to the doors. Good hose down. And go from there. We still have some water, as you can see, not much. I mean, it was probably about 3 feet deep here. This whole chair was under. That's as high as it came. Chair was under, right at the top. So we got a little bit of some cleanup and road to recovery, and probably try and open these engines up and see if I can get the water out of them. And this one only flooded up to about here. It was sitting on a chair in the shed. I thought that chair would be plenty high. This storm really surprised all of us. I mean, come over here, that CRV there in the Ford Ranger, guaranteed water inside. That Ranger is sitting probably about 4 or 5 inches lower ground than my trucks are, maybe 6 inches, and the truck sits lower to the ground. So, I mean, there could have been 6 to 9 inches of water inside that truck. And the Bronco, it also was flooded, most likely inside. It's parked in the road there. Almost guaranteed that one flooded inside. So I got some work to do out here. Probably should have taken better precautions, but we were all surprised. Everyone here has their stuff here. All right, we got one running truck here. No codes. It's washed off, got all the salt off of it. The frame has this coating of anti-rust coating on it. Seems to have worked really well. And I'm happy to say we've been running a few minutes here. No check engine lights. Okay, 5.9 I'm not so sure about. Man, I think it'll start fine. Yeah, no check engine light yet. Running good. Let's see if we got any water blowing out the exhaust. We got the 5.9 burning water out of the exhaust. Got the generator here. This looks like the airbox, and someone had the idea of putting it at the bottom of the engine. Yeah, you can see how high the water was, roughly about here.
just great. Engine is locked, so we do need to open this up. Here's our dipstick. Looks like there's no water in the oil, and the same thing is true on the lawnmower. No water in the oil, also no water in the gas tank. So wherever the water came in, it came in through the intake in both cases. And this is actually dried out pretty well already. Well, I'd say the old Ranger got a little bit of water in the engine, maybe. Kind of looks that way. Oh my. Okay. Got a few of these bolts. I got all of them a little bit loose. You can see that's actually mostly water coming out of there now. That's a big concern. Actually, mostly oil came out when I first pulled the plug. Oil floats in water, so that's why. So we got all this salt water. Dealing with this is going to be difficult because it is, I mean, it's probably not full-blown salt water, but it's probably a solid brackish. So what I'm going to elect to do is I'm actually going to hose down the inside of this. I'm not sure if that's really the best idea or not, but we've got to get the salt out somehow. And then I'm going to go in, I'm going to let it drip off, and then I'm going to go in with brake clean like crazy. Let that drip off and dry. Probably going to let it sit overnight. I'm going to go pick up my gasket and my oil, and we're going to do an oil change, and then we're going to drive the truck a little bit. So we're just going to get some cheap oil. Drive the truck a little bit, then we're going to pull the cover right back off again, and then put the oil that we really want to have in there. Holy smokes, we got a runner! Get fired. Okay, I think I just got this thing about ready to go. I think I've saved both of these machines. The generator over here, just ran it under a heavy load for about an hour and changed the oil in it as well. Also removed all the old gas, put new gas in. Same deal over here, changed the oil, removed all the old gas, put new gas in. This one's running with the air filter back on. Air filter's dry. This one, I haven't put the air filter back on it yet, but it looks like these are going to run, and that is great. I mean, each one of those was like $400, so saved a little bit of money. Now, for the whole situation here, my new strategy is I'm going to keep letting this drain. This has been draining for about maybe 2 hours. I'm going to keep letting this drain for the rest of the day, maybe even overnight. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray the daylights out of the inside of here with brake clean, and then I'm going to let that drain for the rest of the day as well. And then this was a gasket, you know, make your own gasket deal. So this is going to be something that I do with a scraper. Clean this up, try and get a good mounting surface. I may get a whole new diff cover too. We'll see about that when I get to the parts store. But yes, I've got an actual gasket for the AAM 10.5. It is reserved about a half-hour drive from here, so I've got about maybe 8 hours to get there and pick it up before it's no longer reserved. See how they did this here. Try and get most of it off in one piece. But it looks like they put a couple of beads here. And what happened was the water was coming in through the bottom bolts. There was a slight imperfection here that allowed the water to come in. It's possible that it came through the vent on top of the axle, but don't know. It either came in one way or the other and basically filled this thing all the way up. All right, here's this. Really tough to deal with the gasket. Did the best I could with it. Got this all brake cleaned up, and I think we can reuse it. I'm a little bit concerned about some of the little rust spots there, but it'll probably take years for that to rust through. But we'll go to the parts store and see. Maybe we'll get a new diff cover. This one actually seems pretty good to reuse for the near-term future at least. All right, so here we got our brake clean. Gonna see about spraying this down, and I'm hoping this is enough to disperse whatever salt is in here. And we're probably gonna need more than just this one bottle. This is my last bottle here. This is actually doing a fantastic job. All right, I am at AutoZone in Picayune, Mississippi. Had to come all the way up here to find this 10.5 axle gasket because my 5.9 has a 10.5 axle. Rather than buying the pump, I decided to pay extra couple bucks a quart for this flexible bottle. Gear oil. We have 4 bottles here. This is a pretty good gear oil for possibly only running it for a few hundred miles, because I may end up doing a second oil change just to be sure that everything's flushed out of there. But we got our 2 bottles of brake clean down there, so I'm feeling pretty good about having this done today and, you know, being happy with it. So we'll see. At least we got a reusable gasket for the future. All right, my friends, we're back. This has been sitting here now. Diff has been open for over 7 hours, about 7 hours and 15 minutes. And I'm gonna crawl under here and we're gonna do our final coat of brake clean. Let's see how this looks. To be honest with you, this already looks pretty good. I can't really tell how much salt was in that water or how much salt's left inside here, but this thing is clean. And I got the good brake clean. Felt a lot heavier than the budget brand bottle, so this is what I went with. I'm gonna try and get in all the tight spaces here. That's why I put the little nozzle on. This whole area in front's really well cleaned. But what I'm just trying to prevent is this thing rusting through from the inside out. I mean, if it did rust through, probably take a while, but this is over 400,000 mile axle anyways, but I'd rather not swap an axle ever. Okay, here we are, all back together. Took maybe 3 3/4 quarts for the AAM 10.5, a little less capacity than the 11.5 we have over there on the 09. And that was a pretty healthy looking ring gear and everything too. Everything looked really good in there. I just hope that that whole setup will last me years to come without rusting out or anything after this. So what I'm going to do now is we're just going to get cleaned up here, and I'm going to go take it on a test drive and see if we have any leaks. All right, here we are, test drive time. We're going to check for leaks, we're going to listen for any funny noises, I don't think we're gonna get funny noises. I think we did a good job with this. Definitely was not planning for this today. Never thought on my YouTube channel I'd do a what to do if you've got saltwater filled differential. Anyways, here we go. And while we were waiting for the diff to dry, I greased all the front end parts on both trucks. That way we pushed some fresh grease through there. Everything below the upper ball joints was underwater. So that's pretty much everything. Tie rod ends, lower ball joints, U-joints. So yeah, I definitely should have evacuated my stuff prior to this storm, but it did not look like a bad storm. In fact, it wasn't until after we were already flooded that they actually declared this a tropical storm. Last night, I went to bed at about 12:30, and some of my front yard was still above water, and we were pretty much getting into the worst of the storm. Wake up, 3 o'clock, there's 3 feet of water outside. Where'd that come from? You know, the worst of the storm was blowing through, already passed. Next thing you know, 3 feet of water. Couldn't believe it. I was really surprised it even got over my slab. Well, I think this is where I'm going to end the video with a few final comments. Those squishy bags for the 75 W90 from Valvoline, very convenient and very efficient. Helped me get the job done faster. Didn't have to worry about pumping anything. Didn't have to buy a pump. That's nice. That should be the industry standard for gear oil containers. And what else do we have? I mean, yeah, I think we dodged a lot of bullets today. You know, my stuff should not have been in the way of that flood, but I underestimated that storm, and the lessons learned. I think I'll be overly cautious in the future. Would have been a lot easier in this case. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed seeing me get my weekend ruined. Oh well, never would have guessed I would have done a YouTube video like this, but y'all have a good one. I'll see you next time.